Hi, guys. Welcome to another episode of Food Beyond Its Nutrition. And, guys, this is peach cake with coconut. And this is nothing short of deliciousness on a plate. Well, let's take a look at our mise en place. You need everything together so you know that you have everything to make this delicious cake. Well, in my mixing bowl, I have 1 cup of granulated sugar. Now, here I have my flour. I have 1.5 cups of flour, and to that, I'm actually going to add 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder and a pinch of salt. I'm going to use a whisk here to dry whisk everything together, and that's really to make sure that everything is evenly incorporated. I don't know, I'm a little thing about that. That's kind of important to me, instead of just kind of dumping it all into the mixing bowl. I like everything to be evenly incorporated. That's called dry whisking. I have 2 large eggs here, and many people don't beat their eggs, they put them whole into the cake. Once again, I prefer to whisk mine. I have some room temperature butter here. It's nice, it's softened, and I'm going to use 12 tablespoons or 3/4 of a cup of butter. Now, this recipe calls for some sour cream. I have some sour cream, and it's 1/4 cup, and it's room temperature sour cream. That's my coconut, and that's a 1/2 cup of packed coconut. And the peaches. Now, guys, you can use canned peaches. I'm using bottled canned peaches, but you can use fresh and or frozen peaches. That truly is your choice. Whatever you do, if you're using fresh and canned, they need to be drained and drained thoroughly. You don't actually want all that liquid in your cake. It won't work well. I have some almond extract here, a teaspoon of almond extract, and there is my homemade vanilla extract. So I'm going to use 2 teaspoons of that. Now, here I have some dusting sugar. This is just this is just granulated sugar, and I'm going to put that over the cake at the end before we cook it. It makes for a really nice crispy layer. Now, getting your baking pan together is also part of the mise en place. Now, you can use a spring form pan or one of the cake pans that has the disc release in the bottom. But if you don't have that, we're going to show you how to use a sling. You see, this cake needs to be the right way up for presentation purposes. And so putting it out on a plate, then flipping it in onto your serving dish. If you don't have a spring form or a release, I'm going to show you how to do that, making a sling. And we're going to make a sling for the cake, and we're just going to use parchment paper, which has been folded. It gives it some weight and workability. So we're going to use 2 relatively large pieces of parchment paper that we've folded in half. And of course, we need the disc to put on the bottom or to help hold it in place. So here we go, guys. Here I have a little baking spray, and I'm just going to spray. Give it a nice good spray. This helps with the release, as you can see. Right, I'm going to actually put one of the pieces of the sling in, and you need to make sure that you have enough room or have enough left over the sides, hanging over the sides, so you can pull the cake out. Okay, so we're going to put the other piece in, and we put it in like a cross, and then you just put the disc in. And guys, that is it. You have created a sling. And again, it's really important that you have enough over the sides so that you can pull the cake out. The weight of the batter will actually hold everything in place, but you need to be able to pull it out. Otherwise, it's pointless. So let's get to the creaming of the sugar and the butter. I have put the sugar and the butter together in my stand mixer. You can use a hand mixer and do this if you prefer. And I'm going to mix this. Really, I'm going to whisk this or beat this, as the case may be, until it's nice, light, white, and fluffy. And this can take anywhere from 5 minutes. And you see me here, I'm beating my eggs up, getting those ready. But you're going to beat the cake until, or the sugar and the butter, until it's nice, light, white, and fluffy. That is really, really, really important. And once it reaches that stage, or at least halfway between, we'll phrase it this way, halfway between, it's important that you scrape down the sides of the bowl. Unless you're using something like a Bosch mixer, I think it's important that you scrape down the sides of the bowl just to ensure that everything is mixing evenly. You need everything to mix evenly. So we're going to continue beating, and it needs, again, to become light and fluffy, just like this. See, it's turned a pale yellow color, and it's nice, and it's fluffy, and it's bouncy. And so once again, I'm scraping down the bowl. Very, very, very important. It makes sure that everything is incorporated. So guys, once that's been done, we're going to beat that just a little bit more. And then after that, we're going to start the process of adding our eggs to create our batter. Now, as you saw, I'd beaten the eggs. I'm going to add half the beaten egg mixture. And once again, I'm going to beat this so that all the egg is incorporated before I add another one. Really important, really important. I think that it makes a better crumb for the cake. And you see me here again, scrape down your bowl. Scrape down your bowl. That's a continuous thing. And yes, can it be tedious? Yes, it can. But the long run will give you a better crumb, and for me, a better tasting cake. So once that's done, we are going to add the rest of the egg to the batter. And the same as before, we're going to make sure that this is beaten in. It is well incorporated and beaten into the batter. So here we go, guys. We're just making sure that it's incorporated, it's beaten in well. And now we're going to add our extract. That is 2 teaspoons of my homemade vanilla extract. And here goes the almond. I actually didn't have enough. I thought I had 1 teaspoon, but I didn't actually have enough. The recipe calls for a teaspoon of almond extract. Didn't have enough, guys, but we just made do with what we had. Right, so we're gonna, again, that too, beat that in properly. I believe off camera, I actually gave it another mix, and then I added the sour cream. And the sour cream, just like the butter, just like the eggs, is room temperature. So I had that sitting on the counter for, I don't know, about an hour or so before I used it. So the sour cream, the butter, and the eggs all need to be at room temperature. It really, it stops from shocking your cake. It stops the cake from curdling, and all these different temperatures. It just makes it an easier experience to create your batter. Now I've actually taken my mixing bowl off the stand so I can actually give it a last good scrape down and mix. And that's before I put the flour in, and some of the flour was trying to get away. But I put the flour in, and I put all the flour in, and here I'm putting in the coconut flakes. So really and truly, I could have mixed the coconut flakes and the flour together. Why I didn't do that, I don't know, but you can actually mix them together. Here I'm going to turn my stand mixer on really low, give it a few blasts, and I'm going to mix it so it is incorporated. I don't want to beat it to death, of course, because that can make your cake a little dense, but I don't want to beat it to death, and that's really enough. Everything else that I need to do now, I'm actually going to do with my spatula. So I'm going to scrape this all off, and then I'm going to mix it a couple of times so I can incorporate all the flour, like you've got flour around the edge of the actual mixing bowl. So I'm going to use my spatula to get that and to mix it in well. So as you can see, I'm folding, I'm twist and fold. There you go. Twist and fold. Come back. Twist and fold. Press in, twist and fold. And once we've got that, we're ready to add the drained, strained, and or peeled peaches. And what I did here was I went through with a knife in the actual sieve and just rough chopped some of the peaches. And I'm going to put the peaches in, and I'm going to reserve maybe about 5 or 6 peaches to go on top, but I'll show you what I'm going to do with these when we come to the end of the cake, or the end of putting the batter into the baking pan. So guys, mix the peaches into the cake, and the batter may seem a bit stiff, but that's all right, guys. So mix it and mix it well. Now, you may find spots or places where you've got more peaches than batter. So try to make it as even as possible. And again, go from the base underneath, mixing, twist and fold. Go under, twist and fold. Now, put your cake batter into your prepared baking tin. And again, the weight of the batter will actually hold your sling in place. It really will. The weight of the batter will hold it in place. And once again, once you put the batter into the bowl, into your baking pan, make sure that the peaches are even. Yeah? Because sometimes you get a lot of peaches on one side and hardly any on the other. So make sure that it's evened out. Like here, there's a lot of peaches on that side. So I'm going to move some over so that there's a piece of peach in every bite. How about that? So we're going to just smooth this off. And once it's smoothed off, I'm going to take the peaches that I reserved and push them gently into the top. So you take them, and you don't have to do this. I think that it makes for a nice presentation, but you don't have to do this at all. But it just looks nice. It really does. It just looks nice because this cake does actually crack on top. So it looks nice. It's nice for the presentation. So you gently push that in. Gently, the last piece of peach, you push that in. And then after that, guys, I'm actually going to take the 2 tablespoons of sugar, and you don't have to use 2 tablespoons. You can use less. I wouldn't suggest using more. And I'm going to sprinkle this over the top, nice and liberally over the top, making sure I get the edges. And this creates a crunchy kind of, it gives it a little crunch. It really is a texture thing. Yes, do you get some sweetness from this? Yes, you do. But by and large, it's about the texture. And once again, you do not have to use 2 tablespoons of granulated sugar by any stretch of the imagination. You can use 1. But again, this gives it a nice textural crunch once the cake has been baked. All right, so that being done, after that, we're going to tap the cake several times on the countertop so that we can, 1, it helps to distribute the sugar, and 2, it helps to release any air pockets in the cake, and it just helps it to even itself out. The cake's ready for the oven, so we're going to pop it into the oven for 70 to 75 minutes, and hey presto, this is the cake and it's done. And this is how you use the sling. You've got 4 pieces. Make sure that you pull on the 4 pieces together, or opposing pieces of the cross. Simply slide it out of the baking pan, and once you've done that, you will then slide the actual pieces of the sling from underneath the cake. Now, guys, I allowed the cake to cool for about 10-15 minutes in the pan before I did this. Right, we're done, and that's done, as we say, and dusted. That's what the top of the cake looks like as a close-up. And once it's cooled, we're going to put some powdered sugar on top just to finish it off. And I have here 2 teaspoons of powdered sugar. And guys, you can use a teaspoon. I think between a teaspoon and 2 teaspoons of baking powder. And you just gently tap it using a sieve. You put it into a small sieve and you just tap it. And it really does help with the actual the look and the presentation of the cake. Right, so once that's done, which it's done, I dressed it up with a little bit of mint. This is a close-up shot of what the cake looks like. This is a slice of heaven, deliciousness on a plate. This is a shot of the inside of the cake, so you can see the crumb. It's absolutely delicious, guys. Peach cake with coconut. And might I say, the coconut is optional, which is why it's peach cake with coconut. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification button. And every time I upload a video, you will be notified directly in your inbox. You can find this recipe and more at foodbeyonditsnutrition.com.